Hey, welcome back. So, how does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu compare to other martial arts? If you're curious about it, I'll be talking about its strengths, differences, and how it matches up in self-defense scenarios. Or competition. We'll just talk about it. So, a little about me. I used to practice some competitive kickboxing for about 2 years, about 3 to 4 years of Taekwondo, and 5 years of full-time Jiu-Jitsu. Also dabbled in a little bit of Muay Thai and boxing around that time as well. You can say I've done a lot of martial arts and I'm touching on a bit of everything. It's essentially mixed martial arts. So, Jiu-Jitsu is a grappling-based martial art. It specializes in ground fighting and submissions. It's oftentimes called the gentle art because it relies on leverage, technique, and strategy over brute strength. But how does it stack up against striking arts? Arts like boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, karate, Taekwondo, or even other grappling arts like wrestling and judo. One major difference is the training style. Classes include a thing called sparring, which is live rolling, where you practice against a resisting opponent. This emphasis on live sparring is shared with arts like wrestling and judo, and less common with traditional martial arts like Taekwondo, karate, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, which focus more on forms and drills. In striking arts, sparring is also an important element, but it's also done less frequently just to avoid injury and concussion and brain damage. Whereas in Jiu-Jitsu, you spar every class. So the real question is, do you like sparring and would you like to practice live in every session? Or take a more gradual approach to application and building up to it? Also, if you're okay with that pressure of everyday sparring, Jiu-Jitsu might actually be for you, and even other arts like wrestling and judo, as well as kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai. Otherwise, I would stick to more formal arts like karate, Taekwondo, Kung Fu, or something similar that allows for progress without having to spar. Because sparring's not for everyone, it's hard. It's hard and often a turn off for many. When it comes to self-defense, Jiu-Jitsu is incredibly effective for one-on-one situations where the fight can potentially go to the ground. It'll teach you control and escapes and how to submit a larger opponent. However, if you're dealing with multiple attackers, I'd rather go with a striking art where you can keep your distance and throw punches from afar. You don't want to be on the ground where there's multiple assailants. You will get stomped. With that said, Jiu-Jitsu's ability to neutralize an opponent without causing huge harm is a great plus. A great choice for scenarios where controlling someone is key, like law enforcement. And I truly believe that every police officer should at least get their blue belt. At least you'll know how to control someone your size or bigger that doesn't have any martial arts training, which is the majority of the population. I myself attend 2 different Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gyms. One has a heavy focus on foundations and self-defense and applications in real life. The other is a high competition level gym where it focuses on Jiu-Jitsu versus Jiu-Jitsu, how to beat another practitioner in Jiu-Jitsu, which we utilize high level techniques like spider guard, lasso guard, squid guard, octopus guard, K-guard, things like that. A lot of stuff you don't necessarily need in self-defense scenarios. I mean, you can't use them without a gi. You can technically use them on jackets, but it's risky. Would I use Jiu-Jitsu? Yes, I would. But only as a last resort. I would actually run first before I do anything stupid, and especially against multiple assailants. If anything, I would first apply my striking abilities before my grappling abilities, unless I'm given a clear route to choke someone out. But if there's multiple assailants, definitely run. Don't fight. You're at a massive disadvantage. So, Jiu-Jitsu or a striking art? I think either would suffice as long as they're both pressure tested. Preferably, you want to learn one grappling art and one striking art. And I wouldn't say one is better than the other. It's really individual dependent and the situation. For single combat, I would take Jiu-Jitsu or grappling art. For multiple assailants, I would take up a striking art. Now let's talk about competition. Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, they focus on takedowns, control, and submissions, with an emphasis on strategy and patience. Striking arts like boxing, kickboxing, reward you with precision, speed, and aggression. A high-octane match. If you're into high-octane, fast-paced, high-energy matches, you might actually like striking more than any grappling art. But if you prefer something a little slower, or like a chess game that rewards strategy, Jiu-Jitsu or grappling art may be for you. I mean, striking definitely does have an aspect of chess as well, but relies a little more on high-octane energy and muscle memory, and is a lot less forgiving. You could technically compete in a Jiu-Jitsu match every week and never get injured. For striking, not so much. You will probably sustain brain damage, concussions, something that'll affect you long-term sooner. So, how about the physical demands? Jiu-Jitsu is often praised for being accessible to all sorts of people. It's less about raw power and more about technique. However, like any sport, injuries do happen. I myself have suffered 3 decently major injuries. One including my throat cartilage where I could barely speak for 3 months straight. I'm not trying to scare you, injuries do happen, and it's more rare than you think. Sometimes they're freak accidents. So compare this to striking arts. Injuries are usually related to concussions and hurting hand. Each art really challenges body in a different way, and it's up to you to see what fits your goals. When I used to do kickboxing, I used to get punched in the head all the time during live sparring, and it definitely wasn't great with keeping my brain intact. I did not like the idea that I was losing brain cells. Even with your hands up, punches still come through. Even when they hit your arms, it still hurts. For jiu-jitsu, your fingers hurt, your joints hurt, your lower back hurts. Your whole body suffers overall as opposed to a specific area like your brain. So there are trade-offs in terms of wear and tear. Lastly, let's talk about mindset and culture. Jiu-Jitsu gyms are often known to be more welcoming, with a laid-back atmosphere where beginners and advanced practitioners train together. In contrast, Muay Thai, boxing, striking gyms, they emphasize more on toughness and conditioning, and can feel sometimes very intimidating, especially when you walk into the gym and all you see is a guy with a six-pack screaming and ramming his shin into pads. I mean, that certainly intimidated me. Everybody in those kickboxing gyms look like they can murder you. Six-pack, chiseled, everything. However, there are more softer striking arts like karate, taekwondo. They're a little more tame, and they often focus on discipline and tradition, and are usually filled with a variety of people from all ages and feel a lot more welcoming. However, some jiu-jitsu gyms can feel a little bit like both. You get the griminess of the competitive guys and the family-friendly crowd that's just there bringing their kid to the class and taking an extra class on the side on their own. So each discipline has its own etiquette, vibe, culture, so finding the right fit for you is key. Another thing to note is striking arts don't often require a live training partner. You can get by with just hitting the bag, which allows you to learn the art at your own pace. Grappling, not so much. You need to have a live dummy to practice those moves, otherwise they just don't make sense. It is human chess. So if you're a little bit more of an introvert, striking arts may be a little bit for you. If you're okay with all the human interaction and body contact, that's jiu-jitsu and any grappling sport. Also, if you're not into the griminess and day in day out of just sparring and killing each other, I will stay clear of MMA gyms. But if you really like that UFC MMA lifestyle, give it a try. I can tell you from experience, not many people last. So, how does Jiu-Jitsu compare? It's unique in its own focus on ground fighting. It's accessible, and it has strategic depth. But the best martial art is the martial art that you enjoy practicing the most, and can stick with for a very long time. So, give them all a shot. I'm sure you'll find one that sticks. See you in the next one.